Good morning. Welcome back to Strive Academy's virtual STEAM events. We're super duper excited today. Today we're going to be making a boat and seeing how much weight it can hold before it sinks. So for this activity you will need like a sink or a bathtub or something that you can put water in and put your boat in and add weight to it to see how many pennies or whatever kind of weight you want to use that you can put on before it sinks. This is something you can definitely modify for whichever age child you have. They can make the boat more elaborate or more simple and add different things to it to see what it can hold. So don't forget to go to striveacademy.org. We have all of our papers there. And again, this is called When Will My Boat Sink? So you can print out both the engineering design process and the directions, or you can just look at the directions or whatever works best for you. Just do it on a piece of paper. So the first thing we'll fill in is the title, When Will My Boat Sink? And then for our hypothesis, we're going to answer the question, how many pennies do we think our boat can hold before it sinks? Or you know, whatever kind of weight you want to use. If you don't have a bunch of pennies, you can use fruit snacks or Cheerios or whatever you want for weight. What you want to make sure is when your kids are making the boat today that they make it wide enough that they can put some weight on it, that it can hold the weight. Obviously, this is a really simple version of something that you could do. The hope is that the kids will make it way more creative, but just kind of keep that in mind that you want like a flat, wide surface that you can put weight on. And so before they begin, you want them, as always, to sketch a design so that, you know, they're not just rushing into it, and most importantly, using all of the materials without really thinking about what they want to do. So on their handout, they'll sketch a design of their boat. I always encourage my kids, use color, label what the materials are, and that kind of stuff. The more that they can put into that sketch, the better when they start building. Then they get to build. This is the really, really fun part. Again, hopefully this is something that'll keep your kids busy for a while. Things that you can use. I gave my kids foil and plastic wrap. We have lots of cardboard because all we do these days is order things on Amazon. I've said this before, but Amazon boxes are the best for building because they're thin enough that kids can cut. Obviously, scissors and tape. We're still waiting for our masking tape shipment. I put out straws, I had different pipe cleaners and popsicle sticks, but as always, whatever materials you can find around your house are good to use. You know, a lot of people are cleaning out their house during this crazy time, so if you find things that you're like, I don't know if I'd have a use for it, throw them in as supplies on some of these activities that we're doing, anything that you can think of. So once they build their boat, they're going under observations to draw a picture of their finished boat. And I always kind of paused my kids at this time and make them talk about how is what you came up with different than what you thought it was going to look like. Because usually they have an idea in their head and then they go and start to build and they realize, oh, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work. And so why did they make changes and how did they make changes? So I think that's, you know, a good conversation for them to have. Okay, then what you want to do is fill something up with water. It could just be like a big Tupperware container. You could fill a sink up or a bathtub if you want to make it really fun. And they're going to put their boat on. It should float. Hopefully it floats when they put it on. And then they're going to start to add their weight one by one. My kids are building right now. We're going to use pennies because we always save change and we have a big jar of pennies. So we're going to use pennies, but like I said before, you can use whatever you want for weight. And we're going to add them one by one. And as we add them, we're going to put just a little tally mark under our under our results. We're going to put a tally mark. And I think the easiest thing to do is instead of having them keep count of how much weight it will hold, because they'll lose track, is just have them put a tally mark each time, and then at the end they can count the tally marks, and that can be a little bit of a math lesson for them too. Once the boat begins to sink, then they'll stop keeping track of their tally marks, and they can add them all up and see how many pennies or whatever it held. This can be a fun competition if you have more than one kid, or maybe their friend can do it at their house and they can FaceTime and do the weight competition together. Whatever works to make it just a little bit more fun and interactive. Then for the analysis questions, number 1 is, how did the hypothesis compare to how many pennies it actually held? We have found at Strive when we've done this activity, normally they hold more weight than they think it will, so that's pretty cool. Which material was the best at keeping the water from getting in and sinking their boat? So what they're going to find is that once they get too much weight on and it starts to sink a little bit, then water kind of rushes into their boat, takes it over, and really sinks it. So what material really helped to keep that water out? And then the third question is, if they had to build it again, how would they change it? And if you have time and you want to let them use more materials, they can always go back and redo it. And so for our extension activity today, it said, for one of the variables, make your boat out of a different material and compare. So, for this one, it was aluminum foil. Maybe the next one's out of popsicle sticks or straws, and compare. Water is going to have an easier time getting into the holes of the straw than it would to the foil. So those are all things that you can talk about. And then for the other variable, you can make the same boat, but use a different type of coin, like nickels, dimes, or quarters, and see how those compare. And those would be great to make a hypothesis for too. So always throwing in science and math here. If pennies are smaller than quarters, then do you think you'd be able to hold more quarters or pennies? That kind of thing. Anyway, we hope that you guys have a lot of fun. I know my kids love doing this activity. Please, please, please post your pictures on Facebook. Tag us with the hashtag STEAM with Strive. I mix that up every single time. We hope you guys are having a great week, and we can't wait to see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye.